Welcome to the second best of 5 series of the evening. Spawning on King Sejong Station to the bottom, no, to the top left hand corner in orange. Playing Protoss for Rival G and the United States, it's Koshkii. And to the bottom right hand corner in teal, playing Zerg for My Risk and Germany, it's Schnubiiii. Having the little cardboard Zergling as the clan tech here. Well, Koshkii actually does not have a clan tech applied to her Nexus here. A little bit sad to see that. So, gateway already going down. So these players actually face for the first time in the FSL. Schnubiiii was not an FSL season player last season. She started as an off-season player because the season had already started. Then you couldn't, of course, join it anymore, so she just became an off-season player, but decided to join Season 2, although she's actually the lowest ranked player in the FSL, and such as she is the underdog. Will probably get some kind of rough time in the FSL, but will try to do her best in order to take games off of these players. So we'll see how it's going to work out against Koshkii, if it's going to work out, if she manages to surprise Koshkii by some part and might be able to deal enough damage in order to take a map off of her, or maybe even the series, which will be a difficult task to do, but nothing is impossible in this great game we all love and called StarCraft 2. So, Schnubiiii already trying to get some information with the Overlord. Koshkii just standing close to the Vespene Geyser at the potential third base location. Maybe even to set down some sort of proxy shenanigans, or maybe just to check the third base later on, or just send in the probe in order to get some more information. Nope, that's just the typical patrol probe that is supposed to see when the opponent tries to take the designated third base. So Schnubiiii just doing all the good stuff, checking the front entrance in order to see the tech buildings that are standing around there, see whether it's a double gateway opening or not. Already produces a few early links. Maybe that's something she just copied from her team partner Mizekotze, because Mizekotze also likes to open with a few early links in order to apply some pressure towards the Protoss, and of course also a few units in order to fend off pesky adept pressure. So actually Koshkii really committing to getting down that Overlord by firing up that photon overcharge that will now not be available later on. So that's 50 energy less for a potential early roach pressure push, for example, which is actually quite quite often used on this map, especially after the pick daily about it, where Zerg players just started producing a lot of an early roach link push in order to just tear through the defenses at the natural base and then just crush the opponent early on. So yeah, that would be like 50 energy left to help out defend that push. But it doesn't seem as if Schnubiiii wants to really do some sort of early harassment shenanigans or all-ins. She just tries to get a third base down after seeing that her opponent has already taken her base as well. Moves into lair pretty quickly there. So let's see what she wants to use it for. Maybe some, well, it's not going to be roaches, I feel. Maybe she just wants to go into some Ling and then maybe muta play. I mean, mutas are actually the only thing that really kind of seem viable from now on, but she hasn't taken her fourth gas yet as well. No, okay, it's going to be Hydras. Interesting choice there. So yeah, that would actually be the other choice you have. I mean, if you wait for your lair, there's only two reasons why you do that. One is you want to build a spire right away, or the other one is, of course, the Hydralisk gun, because these are the only tech structures that you actually need a lair for. So, let's see how this is going to work out. Seems as if she just wants to go into Massling Hydra. Also, a typical standard composition against Protoss might work out quite well, especially if you get a lot of units out early on, while the Protoss forces are still small and you can just DPS them down, while having the Lings in front in order to soak up all the damage and let the Hydras just deal everything. In the meantime, Koshkii has managed to get out a Warp Prism, just parks it close by to the third base. There's not really much to harass here, so I think that Koshkii will just warp in once more, then just fly across the third base. We'll see that there's nothing there to harass, so I think then she will just fly straight into the main base and then just maybe warp in a few more units. And we'll see how Schnubiiii will actually be able to deal with that. I mean, she has a lot of standing forces there. Shouldn't actually be too difficult to take it down. And once the Warp Prism actually phases and then just gets stuck at that position there, she might even be able to take it down with the help of the Hydras. But yeah, Koshkii just realized immediately there's not much damage she can actually deal, so she just retreats with everything. Still has to be careful not to lose that Warp Prism over here. I mean, Queen just should just be focus firing that Warp Prism over here. More units will run in. I mean, there's not creep is not right now connecting both of these bases here, so the biggest problem for the Hydras is that they don't have speed yet, so they will just barely not get down that Warp Prism here. Very unfortunate there for Schnubiiii at that moment. Koshkii just supply blocked at 70-70, but while dealing some harassment damage, she's already taken a third base and will now just catch up base-wise, especially since Schnubiiii hasn't bothered to really saturate that third base, and it seems as if she really doesn't want to do it anytime soon. So this really seems, the longer this game goes, the more and more this becomes an all-in. Doesn't really matter if Schnubiiii actually wanted it to be an all-in, but it just turns into one the longer you wait in order to saturate that base. So she mostly just uses this third base as a lava production facility, and also maybe as a backup fallback to plan once the push eventually just deals kinda enough damage, but not game-ending one, and the game would just equal out from then. So let's see. I mean, Schnubiiii again just massing a lot of units. I mean, she really needs to take one big fat engagement early on, and preferably before Storm has finished. I mean, as you can see, this army is pretty damn small, and this is a very huge force, and I think, well, if Schnubiiii actually had most of her forces already standing in front of her opponent's base, yeah, there are still narrow gaps. Yes, there are still photon overcharges available. It would still not be easy to take out a player like Koshkii with these standing forces. But I mean, there's just so much stuff hanging around here. So with a surprise surround, when she just actually moved in, Koshkii not expecting it, and just getting the full surround of these units with all the Hydras firing from behind, this could just be devastating for Koshkii. But of course, it's all could be, should be, would be, as long as Schnubiiii doesn't realize how much ahead she is in army supply, actually, and she would really need to make use of that. I mean, she's committing so hard on army units, not really committing to workers anymore. Now finally, and this is, I think, a really problematic decision, stopping army units. I think maybe she was just overestimating Koshkii's aggressive potential. I think that's just what's going on here. That Schnubiiii actually just thought that Koshkii might be coming any minute, and she was probably just terrified, knowing that her opponent is a Masters player, while she herself is a lower league player. That always is kind of intimidating. So maybe she was just expecting way more headed her way by Koshkii, so she just overcompensated by producing a lot of army without actually having the plan of attacking early on. But now the big clash is going to happen. Finally, Archons are there. We don't have Storm would be ready, but we don't have any High Templars around. So the Lynx get kind of a good angle there, but the rest of the damage just not being dealt. I mean, mostly counter units around that just counter Zerglings very easily. The Archons just frying through everything. Also the Charge Lords. Schnubiiii now on a full retreat, but she can't really get away from the Speed Lords, just losing most of her army, dropping down in supply, dropping down in army supply as well. And like I said before, now there's just nothing she can really fall back to. Only 50 workers to 66. Koshkii realizes she has almost annihilated most of Schnubiii's standing forces, just runs after her, and will maybe even be able to take her down right now. The only unfortunate thing is that the Warp Prism is not around anywhere. Don't really know if that is a reproduced Warp Prism, if she's actually lost it before, but she doesn't actually need the reinforcements. Schnubiii's army just too weak to keep Koshkii from going, and Koshkii takes the first game. Game 2 of this best of 5 is played on Frozen Temple, spawning to the top left-hand corner in orange. Playing Protoss, it's Koshkii. And to the bottom right in teal, playing Zerg, it's Schnubiiii. So, Koshkii, this time around, doing what I was talking about before, just planting the pylon down on the low ground, trying to help her seal off that area into her main base, into her natural base, I'm sorry for that, as quickly as possible. So she will go into a Nexus straight away, I feel, after this gateway. Being a little bit more risky than poison there. But yeah, no problem here. In this case around, Schnubiiii going for the hatch first, typical Zerg build. So Koshkii should be able to easily get away with that. So interesting Overlord Scout here, Schnubiiii just being afraid of some sort of 4-gate all-in. And actually with that, that's actually a very wise decision here. Koshkii has proven again and again that she's very willing to just play an all-in every once in a while, so you always have to be on your guard, and Schnubiiii actually is. She's studied, we see that Schnubiiii has actually studied Koshkii's games, knowing that she kind of likes to throw down a 4-gate at that location, so she just used her first Overlord in order to scout that location, also using the other Overlord in order to scout other proxy locations as well. So this time around it didn't really pay off. Still, it's a very nice thought of her, and that's what I actually like about formats like the FSL, where players just face each other on a regular basis, and they also have the possibility to study their opponent's play before playing them, because then finally mind games can actually really apply. Studying your opponent is half the battle. Unfortunately, it's only half, but it's an important half nevertheless. So yeah, there goes the Nexus, and then the almost full wall off with a little gap down here with the help of the cybernetics core. And this opens the tech way to, or the tech path to the Twilight Council over here. Schnubiiii still will have the possibility to scout everything with the help of that Overlord, even though it got a little bit delayed by taking the detour. But yeah, no problem over there. So Koshkii, of course, just checking for the third base, typical Protoss behavior, always an important information to have. First Adept being out, just trying to fill that gap for now. Maybe later on we'll deal some pressure, but actually we haven't seen Koshkii dealing or doing a lot of Adept pushes anyway. I mean, usually when she pushes, she just pushes out to deal devastating, almost game-ending damage. But small little slight harass is not really her kind of playstyle, at least early on. Maybe later on she just uses a Warp Prism in order to deal some damage here and there, but oftentimes her pushes are usually bound to deal terrible, terrible damage, or just no damage at all because the opponent prepared accordingly. So, robotics going down, Dark Shrine as well, which could have been expected after the early Twilight Council. So yeah, I think it's going to be her typical build from either Zealots, Speedlots or Adepts, but probably not Speedlots since we haven't seen the charge upgrade yet. Not really that much gas around for now, so maybe we're going to see it later. But I think it should be some sort of Immortal-based army composition with a Warp Prism in there as well. So yeah, and then maybe Speedlots or Adepts, it depends. Most of the time it's going to be Speedlots for Koshkii, but very often, or sometimes she even mixes it up with some Adepts as well, and then just the DT follow-up right behind it. Schnubiiii now taking her second base a little bit later. Like I said before, she doesn't really want to be expanding that greedily like other Zerg players do in higher leagues, because I think she just doesn't really feel safe doing that. Like I said before, it's always intimidating playing against a player like that. So, but going into the Hydralisk then, which could be quite interesting, because against that kind of push that Koshkii usually does, the kind of immortal push we would normally expect out of her, but it's not coming, which is actually quite interesting. So there we see it. I think maybe Koshkii also playing her opponent here a little bit, and will just now go into DT harassment. So yeah, just making me eat my own words, where I just said that she usually doesn't really do that kind of harassment. We haven't seen her doing it in quite some time, actually. Oh, doing even the Immortal, even the Archon harassment. Okay, Archon drops. Very nice there. So yeah, that's actually something that Schnubiiii is obviously not expecting whatsoever. Schnubiiii obviously expecting Koshkii to do the typical Immortal Zealot all-in. And she's seen how Mitsukotze stopped that push with a lot of Lings and Hydras on Frost last week. So it seems as if she really wants to do a kind of a blind counter there to Koshkii's usual strategy. But unfortunately, Koshkii not really doing what is expected of her. How dare she? So now the Immortals are here, only Lings around, and Lings, we've seen it in the game between Snoot and Petit Drogo, doesn't really work well together. So even more DTs being morphed in, no detection around whatsoever. Lair's at least done, so Schnubiiii will be able to just morph some Overlords into Overseers once she finally realizes what's happened. But right now she's just too occupied dealing with the forces inside her main base, so she doesn't even actually realize what's going on in a natural base, and 3DT's just killing all of the workers inside the mineral line. She finally has to realize that DTs are around and needs to morph an Overlord into an Overseer soon. The longer this is going to take, the more damage Koshkii is going to work out, and that is it. She realizes that she's already taken too much damage, gives up, and Koshkii takes the second game as well. Galactic Process is our third map of this best of 5, spawning to the bottom left-hand corner in orange. Playing Protoss for Rival Gaming, it's Koshkii. And to the top right-hand corner in teal, playing Zerg for My Risk, it's Schnubiiii, who's unfortunately already behind 0-2 and needs to throw in a great and very difficult to do comeback in order to pull it around, or to turn the table, as you might also say. So Gateway going down for Koshkii. Overlords already flying out, so drone getting ready to plant down the base. Down here, and here it goes. So in the meantime, gas right after Gateway, so not the earliest Gateway expand, but that's quite typical for Galactic Process, because the entrance to your natural base is just huge. You have kind of an okay-ish ramp that you can usually also seal off with buildings, but the biggest problem is that there are also attack path, or more actually attack paths that your opponent can just break through. There's rocks that can be taken down over here. There's also rocks that can be taken down here. So even a full wall off over here might not save you from an early all-in by your opponent if they manage to actually break through, because you would just need so many buildings in order to seal everything off. So you usually just want to have some more possibilities to produce units and tech earlier on before taking that nexus down here. It's just a little bit safer to do. So hatchery down, Koshkii checking for the third, all the usual good stuff we've been seeing throughout the other two games as well. And of course the spawning pool with the possibility to produce speed very early on. That should just get enabled in, or get researched in just a few seconds, and there we go. So let's see what's going to happen next. One adept. Again, just the adept that will help to fill that gap over here, so units won't be able to run into the main base that easily. I mean, also an adept can only stop that many units before it falls, but it usually just gives you enough time, or just makes the units retreat because there are not enough of them. So Schnubiiii scouts the base, but nothing all too... Oh, actually again, Koshkii just hates Overlords, it seems, and she really wants to get rid of it. Again, this kind of makes her vulnerable a little bit to all-ins. I mean, that could be 50 energy that might be desperately needed later on if her opponent was actually going for some sort of Roach Ravager all-in, or just Roach Ling all-in on 2 bases. So, I don't know if it's really worth it, but for now it's of course 100 resources for free. that she took away from Schnubiiii. And Schnubiiii, of course, also has to replace the Overlord in order to get some supply back up. So maybe she might have even gotten supply blocked by that. Koshkii taking a very early third base, though, after seeing that her opponent was taking a third base as well. So, yeah, she shouldn't fall behind in the economics game at all, I feel, unless of course just Schnubiiii dares to take a fourth base right away, but she's probably not going to do that. So, whoa, I mean, this is wide open. Oh my god, just have a look at that. There's no wall, there's one pylon. There's also only one pylon over here. Wow, I mean, Koshkii actually got some kind of good scout off with the first probe, so she knows that not too many units were kind of sticking around. I mean, yes, Schnubiiii might have hidden some units tucked back in her main base, which is not actually, that's not something she expected to happen. So yeah, I mean, whoa, this is like wide open, trousers, pants down, as much as far down as they can get. So like I said, an early push would just crush this. But yeah, it's always easy to say that an early push would be great, but you can't really know that in advance now, can you? So Oracle now flying in. Unfortunately, no spore crawlers for Schnubiiii in place. Unfortunately, missed this timing. Maybe was not even aware of the possibility of an Oracle. Sometimes you just have so many things up your mind that you just forget about a particular unit that might hit you at a certain timing. But yeah, at least one queen is around. Second queen was also around. We have one queen in the main base as well. Still 7 kills for the Oracle, already dealing a lot of damage. That was totally worth it. And it seems as if Koshkii actually wants to go into Sky Toss straight away, building the fleet beacon here. So maybe we will even be seeing some carriers later on. So we'll see to that. One Void Ray for now. I don't really think she wants to get the upgrade for Phoenixes. No, there it is, the mighty carrier. Oh my god, we're going to see the mighty carrier coming out of one Stargate. Yeah, at least we are going to see it in like about, well, maybe 2 hours. I think I can just go back to lunch and come back in just a few hours, and then the first carrier might have arrived eventually. So Oracle flying over towards the third base. Let's see if I can deal some little bit more harassment damage over there. We'll probably just wonder why there are no workers around here, but just fly straight into the mineral line of the main base. We'll probably just get some units at the edge. Ooh! Not paying attention to the Oracle here and losing it to that spore crawler. I think only one. No, actually it was only bruised, not taken down. So yeah, okay, carrier still in the making. What else is new? But of course the saturation for Koshkii just brilliant here. I mean, we have 61 workers to 36. You can actually also see it down here. So, wow, I mean, the economy is just so much better for Koshkii. And let's have a look at the income tab. Almost 1,000 resources per minute more. So it just should take a few more minutes before Koshkii will just have so much more stuff than Schnubiiii. Schnubiiii now actually going for a nice move here, trying to break through these rocks that are actually not really being watched by Koshkii. Well, she can actually see it if she's watching. Oh, and she is. Okay, nice map awareness over there. Just sending the mothership core, seeing that the rocks are being taken down. Well, actually, Schnubiiii doesn't really have to retreat. She might lose some links to the mothership core, but will eventually be able to just take down the rocks. And, well, let's see if she's going to commit to that or not. So finally moving out of units. And, I mean, let's have a look. This is one Adept, one Void Ray, one Carrier. And that's actually all the units that Koshkii has got. So, links seem... No! No, don't retreat! You're almost through! No! And there she runs, just away from all of these air units. I mean, yeah, of course, I can kind of understand that she wants to do that. There's also some cannons around, a lot of cannons actually, so she wouldn't have been able to really deal that much damage anyways. Although could have just run by and maybe even run into the main base if she cared to do so. And that is now triple carrier production out of 3 Stargates and also the cybernetics core. So Koshkii really committing to the air build here. We'll probably even see a mothership eventually, I feel. So Schnubiiii just trying to set up her economy right now. I think her only way to really get back into the game is, again, crossing fingers, hoping that her opponent will not attack her early on. But of course, she's now really afraid of an immediate air push just headed her way. So that's why she just sends down a few spore crawlers. Will probably even try to get up some anti-air tech like the muscular augments, and then maybe just mass produce hydralisks. But the problem is with if you don't have that many resources, hydralisks actually are pretty bad against carriers once they reach a critical mass, because the interceptors, especially with upgrades, will just deal so much damage. You actually need to get close to the units and try to focus down the carriers. And you can actually, as long as the opponent doesn't have enough carriers, you can easily break through them with enough Hydras, but getting out that many Hydras early on would usually need you to have a good economy already up, which Schnubiiii actually didn't have. And maybe even on a 4-base economy. And then you just mass produce a lot of Hydras, try to move in. Then you can actually even kill all of the interceptors. You don't actually even have to kill off the carrier straight away. You can just sit there and let the Hydralisk just shoot down all of the interceptors. And as long as the carriers then try to reproduce the interceptors, you can just easily take them down as well. But like I said, this really has to happen before the Protoss manages to get together a critical mass amount of carriers. And I don't really think that Schnubiiii will be hitting that timing anytime soon, especially with Koshkii even having taken a 4th base while Schnubiiii is still on 3. So this is mostly an all-in. Schnubiiii has to make one big, heavy, fat attack, taking down everything that Koshkii has. And then it might be her game, but Koshkii already researching the weapons upgrade level 3. I mean, keep in mind that every upgrade actually gets 1 more damage point on these interceptors, but they shoot twice. And you usually have 8 interceptors. So that means it's 8 times 2, which is 16 damage more with every upgrade that Protoss gets. So this just makes interceptors really, really deadly. Once, like I said, you have like the critical mass amount of carriers on the map. And yeah, carriers this way really putting the fear of God into the enemy once more, just like they did in Brood War. So, army movement is very hot. There's a lot of Hydralisks here. I think they don't really have upgrades. No, unfortunately, only not the attack upgrade, but only the armor upgrade. So let's see how this is actually going to work. Yeah, Vipers might actually also be a possibility here in order to get some blinding clouds onto these carriers, or with Abduct to get them right into your Hydralisk and then taking them down. But of course also a Parasitic Bomb has also gotten nerfed. And now the Mothership Core is around here as well. And like I said, Schnubiiii just desperately trying to focus fire down the carrier. But as soon as one carrier falls, all the rest of the army has already been taken down. GG, and Koshkii takes the game and match 3-0.